coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area. It's time for Zig in the Zone with Ralph Zig Tyko.
Hey, I'm Ralph Zig Tyko. Thank you, AI. And I'm happy to be back with Pauly B. And we have a special guest for many reasons. And but Pauly B and I are going to just chat for a few minutes because I'm remote and I got to find out how my bud is doing.
Well, what's happening? I'm here. I've got my A's colors on. Colors on. So you never know what the heck's going on in studio, but I'm here, Ziggy. Good to see you, my man. You got your Zig shirt.
I'll show you my colors.
Yeah, I'll show you. Wait, hold on. Let me get you back. There's your colors. You got the Zigzag Man right there.
All right, not bad for an old guy.
I'm telling you.
And
that was a good day. That was a good day. They took a picture of you. I cut you off. I've cut you off 3 times. I said that was a great day. They took a picture of you and put you on your shirt.
Yes. Hey, let's introduce the guest.
Absolutely.
John Leondakis, who is returning to the comfortably zoned airways. And I got to thank him again, first of all, for bringing me my boyhood hero on the podcast. He and I did a while back. Tell us about who you brought, John.
Well, it was my pleasure to introduce you to my good friend, late great writer Arnold Pino, who wrote A Day in the Bleachers, one of baseball's most iconic books, but Arnold was one of the most prolific writers of the 20th century, and I had the big privilege of producing and directing a film about his life.
Wow. How did you meet him originally? And again, thank you for his and your company that day on the podcast. Anybody want to go back to our archives where it's on YouTube, Comfortably Zoned channel on YouTube, and just put in what you're looking for. We've got 3,200 plus episodes as a station, a podcast station in our favor. So we've got a lot that you as the audience can go back and listen to, and we're adding to it now. With John, how did you two meet originally?
Well, I saw him speak at a baseball reliquary event about the rivalry between the Dodgers and the Giants, and he was representing the position of the Giants, being an old New York Giants fan, and then moved west to become a San Francisco Giants fan. He said, I retain this hatred of the Dodgers. He said, I would rather a Dodger loss than a Giants victory. That's how deep his hatred of the Dodgers was. It didn't matter if they were in Brooklyn or in Los Angeles. Pino hated them with a passion, a white-hot passion. So I met him there that night, and that was the first night I bought a copy of his book, A Day in the Bleachers, and was absolutely gobsmacked by what a great book it was. It really transports you to Game 1 of the 1954 World Series at Polo Grounds. You open that book up and you can smell the cigar smoke, the peanuts, and the beer of the ballpark, the hot dog and the mustard coming up, and it's just a visceral account of a great day in baseball.
You know what it brings me back to is my youth. I was 8 years old, and the Giants and the Yankees and Dodgers were winning before and after, and I was a Giant fan. So although I appreciated their greatness, I hated them both at the time. Now I love them and their memories both at the time. You mentioned that you're just a baseball fan in general, and I'm becoming that too. The three New York gems that we had going for us growing up as a kid, we thought the World Series should be played, and it was a birthright in our city every year, and it almost was. It really, for a long time, it was. And as a kid, as a fan, one doesn't appreciate the other teams that you root against, because there's a built-in disdain, as Arnold expressed in the interview we did as well. His hatred of the Dodgers is what we have. Now we're starting to love the Dodgers. I have befriended Irene Hodges as a Facebook friend, and more than just that, she's a wonderful person who has appeared on my show. We've talked about her dad, who at the time I thought was not worthy of the Hall of Fame when I was a kid. Certainly worthy, absolutely worthy. But Peter Trunk and Claire Elizabeth, I can't think of the last name right now, all great Dodger fans who I love them all, and I love all the teams from the golden age of baseball in New York, in my memories. Sandy Ambrose, my God, I have a lefty mitt that I call Ambrose. Not because he was the greatest person to wear a lefty, I could wear a lefty mitt, but his significance in that catch, because he was lefty, means a lot to me. So we're cut from the same cloth, and I want you and I, so I want you to tell me now about, we've talked about this on podcast, on audio podcast, but I want to see the enthusiasm in you. And you were how old in 1989 were you?
Oh, geez. I was, let's see, I was about 40 years old.
No, in 1989.
89, yes, I was about 40.
Oh, okay. And you brought your camera to the park that infamous day.
Yeah, I did. Well, I brought two cameras with me. I bought my single lens reflex still camera with bandoliers of 35mm film, because this was before digital. And I also had my dad's VHS camcorder. It was a Magnavox, very big, and it was a very high-end piece of equipment at the time. It ran about $800. So it was a good piece of equipment. And I went out there to, my first World Series, I wanted to capture the pageantry and the color and the excitement of going to the World Series, where our San Francisco Giants were taking on those bums across the bay, the Oakland A's. We love them so. But of course, that was quite a matchup, and very, very regional. And you had so many different stories going at once that day. So when we pulled into the parking lot, first thing I did was I started interviewing some of the people that were parked around us, and everybody was excited to talk about the game. And this was a late afternoon game. The first pitch was not scheduled until 5:35 p.m. And that's very meaningful to the overarching story surrounding this particular disaster. But yeah, so I started filming there. I was walking around the ballpark, filming this and that. I didn't think they'd let me bring that video camera into the game. It turned out they would have. But I put it back in the car, and I went inside of the game, and I had my camera with me, and I was waiting in line to get a hot dog at 5:04 p.m. when the earthquake struck, and it was extremely violent. And I went back to my seat where my brother was sitting. We were sitting between third base and the left field. We were row N off the field level, and everybody was in a state of shock. But I did something nobody else did inside of the stadium that day, and I took the only panorama photographs of the entire scene minutes after the quake had struck. And that's the old school days of shooting a panorama, because I worked in the film industry for so long. The idea is that you take a sequence of photos, bang, 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 of the same scene, and then you stitch them together. We used to have to do that when we were scouting locations for TV commercials that I worked on. So I knew how to do that. And then once we got it into the digital realm of Photoshop, we stitched it all together. It's all very seamless. And but that was just part of the full experience, because I stayed there in the intervening 10 days in the city, because I was a freelancer at the time. My time was my own. I stayed at my parents' house. I grew up in San Francisco. So I stayed there the intervening 10 days. I went back to Game 3. We parked in the exact same spot, and all of those people who were there the first time came back and parked in the same spot the second time. So we interviewed them, and so I kind of had this contrast. But by the time I was done with it all, I had this really interesting 3-act story, and people can watch it on Amazon Prime. It's called The Day the World Series Stopped.
Wow. Wow. That will be in the first paragraph of your autobiography, for sure. Of your, not autobiography, well, maybe an autobiography someday. Your obituary, I meant to say, which isn't a very pleasant thought. Let's keep that far and remove. Paulie, I want to hear your voice instead of.
Well, I was gonna try to see if I could play an excerpt from that, if you wouldn't mind, if you'd grant us permission.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I think I can grab part of that. Is there a trailer for it?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
It's on Amazon Prime. They have a trailer there. If you call it up on Amazon Prime, you can see. You just click on the trailer thingy.
Okay, I'm seeing if I can find it.
Sure.
Okay, let me see here. Okay, I've got a version of it. All right, so the one thing I'm gonna cheat because I have to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Okay.
So a couple things about your story. So that day I went to one of the World Series games, but I wasn't at that one. At that one, I was at my house, and like you said, it was 5 o'clock at night, and I had worked some crazy shift at work, so I was literally getting up about that time. And I was like, oh, I gotta wake up and gotta watch the World Series. And I was kind of just out of it and walking from my bedroom to the kitchen, and I was grabbing some form of caffeine like I usually do, and I was in my parents' house. And all of a sudden, just everything started rocking. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I looked, and my mom yelled, like, get in a doorway or something. And she ran to the front door because my little brother was outside playing. And so I ran to the front door too. Nobody's in the doorway other than us running to the front door. And I could see my parents' car. So these are the front tires, or the rear tires or whatever that I was seeing, the one side of the car, they were like going like this, and it was a low rider, but it wasn't a low rider. It was just going back and forth and just hopping. And I'm like, I'm still halfway asleep and I'm looking at it all confused. And I was just, it didn't compute. And then of course we turned on the TV, and it's the scene at Candlestick, and and everybody just kind of going, wow, what's going on? The other thing about your story that I kind of latched onto is, yes, kids, we used to have to take panos. They call them panos now. So they used to have to take panos, and you'd have to take like this. You didn't have to just do like this with your iPhone and it just made it. So yeah, that's this generation's equivalent of, I think Ralph was probably told by his parents, I had to walk 10 miles uphill to school in snow It was snow. And so that's our generation's equivalent to.
That was the mindset of those folks.
So we used to have to stitch our panos together, kids. We had to work in a pano mine and put panos together. So anyway, I thought I'd let you know. All right, so let me see if I can do this. I'm trying to get that. So I was trying to do that and walk and chew gum at the same time. And let me see if I can pull that up now.
And I'm sorry.
I just knew the name of it too. The day
The World Series stopped.
Okay, hold on a second. The day the World Series stopped trailer. Okay, here we go. Let me see if I can pull this off. As long as it doesn't, it's probably going to give me a commercial knowing these guys. Here we go.
This is
Hey, hold on.
And for good reason. It has a golden gate, picturesque hills, and a liberal attitude towards life. San Francisco was, and still is, a baseball town. Its unabashed love affair with the San Francisco Giants was consummated upon their arrival from New York. Before anyone knew it, the team became part of the city's lore and landscape, wedged amongst cable cars, crabs, and bad weather.
Yes.
Yet for all the love and passion, the ultimate victory eluded the team and its fans. Their only appearance in the Fall Classic was a gut-wrenching loss in 7 games to the Yankees in 1962. It would take another 27 years.
Hold on, Ralph.
Enter two brothers, native San Franciscans and lifelong Giants fans, who thought all was right with the world when their heroes went to the 1989 World Series. And then their world started shaking. And it didn't stop until the San Francisco Bay Area had bounced, rattled, and crumbled through an earthquake for the ages. 6.9 on the Richter scale. It all began at 5:04 p.m., just 25 minutes before the first pitch of Game 3. With ABC capturing the first major earthquake to be broadcast live on national television.
Still going?
The result of
Yes,
death and
Ralph.
destruction shocked the country and shoved the World Series off the stage. Loma Prieta made history as the most powerful quake ever to strike a major American city in nearly a century. In 15 terrible seconds,
Hey, Paulie.
nearly
Yeah, they can
3,800
hear you
were
every
injured.
time you do that, Ralph. So
More
please
than
stop.
8,000 were made
Yeah,
homeless.
I had to mute us.
63 souls would meet
So
their fate.
it's literally
in
like a
collapsed
3-minute
buildings,
clip, and every time you
bridges,
talk over
coffee
the
houses,
clip. So
department
just
stores,
hang on, buddy. I'll
sidewalks,
bring you back
and
in.
streets.
I'm not sure why you're not
I
seeing it
didn't
in real
know
time.
you
Not
would do
sure why you're
Die
seeing
in
it
a
in real
catastrophic
time,
collapse
but we'll figure
on
that
a
out.
double-decker freeway in
But
Oakland.
they're watching this, so I'll come back
The
in.
Bay
I'll bring
Area
us back
hadn't
live and
seen
go,
this
wow, that was
much death
great
and
or whatever.
destruction
So
since
give it a
1906,
minute.
when a massive earthquake nearly
Thank you.
leveled San Francisco. My name is John, and my brother Tim and I lived through every heart-stopping moment at Candlestick Park on October 17th, 1989. Our lives changed that day as reluctant eyewitnesses to history.
By the way, since we're muted, John, this is great.
Join us as we travel back
Now I
in time
can't wait to watch
the
this.
day the World Series stopped.
Okay, we're coming back.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're back here live in the studio, as well as, there we go, I'm back. So, sorry that you guys couldn't see it there, that's why, or you guys could see it out there in TV land, but our guests couldn't see it at all, so.
And you just reacted to it, Paulie.
Right.
What did you say?
It was great, so here's some footage. You're right, you had both your cameras going, John, and It was a sheer documentary because you had everything from outside before the game, during the crazy moments, you had shots, and then you had the aftermath, and so that wouldn't happen nowadays. Everybody else would just grab their phone.
That's right.
So that's a real golden age of guerrilla photography or owning a digital device. I still have a camera because, and I have cameras for multiple reasons, because even though these little devices get 4K, they're quirky, they have issues. It's great to have one of these too. I've always been a photog. And so it's great to have something like this in your pocket that you can readily go to, that gets great quality. But I still like being able to set an aperture and white balance and dial in on something on a. There's no real feeling other than dialing in on a 35mm camera. I mean, it's something this generation doesn't understand. It's kind of like dropping a needle on a piece of vinyl on a record. It's something these guys don't understand. It's something. There's something tactile about it. So.
Yeah, would you tell us what you're doing right now? What you have going?
Sure. I've been, for the past 5 years, I've been working on a biographical film about a great San Francisco native named Lefty O'Doul. Lefty O'Doul was born in Butchertown, which is better known as Candlestick Point area, Hunters Point, and he was born in 1897, and he has the 4th highest batting average in Major League Baseball's history of 349. He was a great hitter. The DiMaggio brothers and Ted Williams said he was the greatest hitting instructor they'd ever seen. He's the winningest manager in Pacific Coast League history. Of course, he managed San Francisco Seals from 1935 to 1951, and then he managed the Vancouver Years, the Oakland Oaks, and San Diego Padres before they were an MLB team. He kind of stopped doing that in '57. But as great as a baseball man as he was, this is a story of an unheralded humanitarian who went through life disguised as a baseball star. And he, one of baseball's greatest ambassadors, began going to Japan in 1931 when you had to take a very long and very rough sea voyage to get to Japan from San Francisco. And he brought Babe Ruth to Japan in 1934, which was a seismic event, and he played a significant role in the development of professional baseball in Japan. But his most important accomplishment came in 1949, just 4 years after the United States dropped 2 atomic weapons to end World War II in Japan. The United States then occupied Japan for the first time in that island nation's history. By 1949, there was a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness, a lot of resentment from the Japanese. And it was suggested to General Douglas MacArthur, in charge of the occupied force there, why don't we have Lefty O'Doul come over with a baseball team for a goodwill tour? We love the guy going back to 1931. O'Doul brings the San Francisco Seals over to Tokyo in 1949. They played games for about a month. By the time they finished that tour, he has built a bridge of friendship between the two countries that did not exist before. Douglas MacArthur said, "This is the greatest act of diplomacy in American history. You have done something all the diplomats put together could not do." So this wonderful man, with an 8th grade education, brought the two countries together and built the Silk Road for Masanori Murakami to come to the United States in 1964, first Japanese national. That brings Nomo over. And then we have, of course, all the way now to Shohei Ohtani and O'Doul's fingerprints are on the moment. So he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves to receive because he died so long ago, 1969. '9. A lot of people think he's a fictional character like Betty Parker or Uncle Ben. But Left Field Duel was made of flesh and blood. He loved people. Wherever he went, world, PCL, Major League Baseball, he always went places where he could meet people. And he called himself a citizen of the world. And when he opened his restaurant in 1958 in San Francisco, he would close the doors on Thanksgiving and Christmas, only opening up to the homeless or the people he called less lucky. They get a hot meal at Christmas time and they get a Christmas present on top of it. This was a guy, when he saw people who were in trouble, he would give the panhandlers money, he would help people out. People said, why do you do that? He said, the guy's in trouble. Why shouldn't I help him? So the whole point of the film I'm making about Left Field Duel is that it's a message of brotherhood, it's a message of peace. He felt that we should solve our differences not with machine guns and bombs and weapons, but with baseball bat, gloves, and balls. Because it's important for us all to live in peace and harmony. That was the message Left Field Duel has given the world, and that's the message we're going to bring with this film.
Can't wait. Would you tell us what come back and keep us posted when it comes out?
Sure, here's a little poster.
Here, wait. Let's go back to, hold on a second. For some reason, we're not getting you. There we go. There we go.
Oh, now I think it's on you. There we go. So here's a little poster that you can check out. We've got some preliminary stuff that we shot there. It's at leftyoduel.com. And you can find out all about it. We're going to be going to Cooperstown in July because we're opening a brand new exhibit called YAKU, Trans-Pacific Exchange of Baseball between Japan and the United States. Left Field Duel is going to have a role in that. And then I'm going to Tokyo. I hope I'm going to Tokyo in November, because we're going to interview some Japanese nationals there inside the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame, because that's the only Hall of Fame where Left Field Duel has been inducted. Of course, the Baseball Reliquary inducted him a while ago, but he still doesn't have a seat at the table in Cooperstown. And we hope will raise his image in their consciousness, because he certainly qualifies for the Buck O'Neil Baseball Ambassador Award. He had a little bit of trouble on the player side because his hitting was only for about 7 years. They'd like to see a little bit more longevity in that department. He started out as a failed pitcher in 1919 with the New York Yankees. And then he washed out, he went down to the minors, he came back up as a hitting god. He terrorized both leagues in one year, 398.
We're running low on batteries.
It's okay, Keith.
Sandy Koufax had a light career. He was a flash for a long time, and he's unanimous Hall of Fame. Love having you. Pauly, take us out.
No problem. I guess he's running low on batteries. That's what happens when I make you guys wait so long. Thanks for tuning in. John, tell us how to get everything you got going on one more time, because I don't like cutting you off.
You'll understand.
Yeah, if your phone dies, we'll keep going. Don't worry. John, tell us how do we get your book and how we keep up with everything you're doing.
Sure. Well, you can go to my personal website, JohnLeonidakis.com, and that's JONLEONOUDAKIS. You can find out more about my current project. This will be my last film, by the way. This will be number 30. And this is Left Field Duel, America's Forgotten Hero. You can go to the website, leftyoduel.com. I have a number of films you can watch on Amazon Prime. The Day the World Series Stopped, Kano, A Century in the Bleachers, Shutout, The Battle American Women Waged to Play Baseball. If you go to Cineverse.com, you can just type in my name, John Leonidakis. 19 of my baseball documentaries are there, and I focus on the human side of the game. These are films you can't see anywhere else. This is not the Yankees winning championships and Babe Ruth and Willie Mays, all wonderful stuff. We've seen enough of that. This is time to get into the heart and soul of baseball, and we get at the innards of the game. And that's what you're going to get when you see my films.
Wow, this is
John,
Go ahead.
What a lovely guy you are. Just, as one baseball fan to another, please come back time and time again. And anytime you have a thought, you're welcome to express it. Give me a call.
Will do, Ralph. And thank you very much to you and your listeners. And Pauly B, great to meet you. And I hope we can do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, John. And now I literally, after our show today, I want to go watch the day the World Series stood still. So now I've got something to do tonight, something to watch, which is great.
You know what my goal in podcasting is, in video podcasting, simply not to embarrass you. Emory Studios is great. They take great care of me, and I just can't tell you how I'm glowing from this experience today.
Well, even John here, John has so much to express. I'm glad that he has multiple mediums to do it, because this guy is bursting with energy. This guy's, so hold on. He's bursting with energy and information that is just like, wow, I'm digging it. Go ahead, what were you saying, Ralphie?
And combine it with his passion.
Right.
It's unbelievable. So happy to have you, John. Keep coming back.
Yeah, and people learn to express yourself. Go out there and do what John's doing. You know, you don't have to scream it from the rooftops. You don't have to get on a stage like I do. You don't have to coin a book or do something. But you know, whatever works. Especially nowadays, we need to speak up. If you have something stuck in your craw, if you want to express yourself, you should try to do that in a positive way. And by the way, that's why I kind of wanted, that was a segue. I want to invite you guys to a little event we're having here at Edge Studios on Friday night. That's right. It's called Pitch Your Pod. It's a monthly mixer for aspiring voices and fresh ideas. If you have a podcast idea, join us for a night of creativity, conversation, and cocktails here at Edge Studios. We ask that you're 21 or older and bring an ID, because our sponsor that night is La France Gin. And what we do is you pitch your podcast idea. If you have an idea, we set up a scene, kind of like we do right here. We record you, we give it to you on a disc or a flash drive, and you can take it with you. So it's kind of your own little screen test. Maybe you're a stand-up comedian such as myself, and you want to record an audition tape for SNL. I don't know. Come on in. We'll set up the scene. We'll record you, give it to you. You can meet other like-minded creative people like yourself, and you can do it. Again, you don't have to be here in San Francisco to create. As long as you have a digital device nowadays, we can help you. Ralph is currently sitting in his digital studio in Alameda when he's not here in San Francisco. I'm sitting in San Francisco. John, where were you again?
Los Angeles.
He's in Los Angeles. So we're doing all this remotely. It's kind of like a big meeting of the minds, or in this case, maybe just one mind between the three of us, maybe, guys? I don't know. But we want to thank you for doing what you do. Please expressing yourself, keep standing up, and remember,
Zig says, give to your local Head Start program. It makes a difference. Why? Because government funding is being pulled from every sector you can think of. So go get a handful of books that you have around your home that you can give to some kids. Get them to your local Head Start program. They can use it. There's the government Addy right there underneath, but don't forget, that's what Zig says. And thanks again, John. Ziggy, we're out of here. For me and you, we are gone. We'll see you guys next week in the zone. Until then.
Thanks, gentlemen. What a great day it was.